Vanished, created and narrated by Ravi. Chapter 7, Damning Evidence. 2 years before he flew out of South Africa, Srikanth had made a stunning discovery. It was by a sheer accident, but the discovery was instrumental in Srikanth's decision to exit the group as well as the country. During the course of his employment, it was a routine for media personnel to hang around the group's headquarters. Some pressmen would want to interview the promoters or a senior functionary of the group. Media management was handled by a South African lady, and it was her responsibility to schedule appointments with the press and manage other engagements. In June 2006, Selena, the media head of the group, called Srikanth over the company intercom. Good morning, Sri. How are you doing today? Hi, Selena. Good morning to you and glad to hear your voice. My day seems to have started off well. What can I do for you? Shri, said Selena, there is a gentleman here, one Mr. Smith from the International Press Group. He wants a meeting with you to discuss some financial aspects of the group. Selena, you know I don't meet the press. Put him on to somebody who does. Sri, I would have not called you without doing that. In fact, Vijay called me just now and told me to tell you to handle this interview. The group does not want to look evasive to the press and media, and the visitor seems to have some influence. He has, in fact, come through the boss himself. Well, that is rather unusual, isn't it? Anyway, has he given you a questionnaire? I don't want to be surprised by pressmen. Yes, he has, and I have put it on your mail. Okay, give me 10 and then send him in. Thanks, Shri. Srikanth read the questionnaire and was satisfied that there were no hidden surprises. It all looked routine. The meeting with Smith lasted for 45 minutes and Srikanth handled the queries comfortably. Just when Srikanth thought that the meeting was over, Smith looked at him and said, Mr. Srikanth, I hear that you are not quite happy working here. Srikanth was taken aback and immediately went on alert. Mr. Smith, you are free to hear and infer whatever you want, but I am afraid this is not on our agenda today. Mr. Srikanth, I have carefully looked into your background and you hardly fit into this setup. We think that this group's bubble will burst. When? We don't know. There are people in the government who are closely tracking this group's finances and other activities. Look, I have a gut feeling that you are a straight guy. I am going to give you something and you have to promise me that you will keep it confidential. I got this from a very reliable source, but my group will not use this for a story. It's not in our line. You will get an idea of how far this group has gone to progress. Smith pressed a very small sized flash drive while shaking hands with Srikanth and then left. Srikanth watched the contents on his personal laptop soon after he returned home. What he saw was chilling and compounded the fears that were already haunting him. Obviously, somebody had secretly taken the pictures and his intentions were also very clear. This person was not a fan of the brothers, that was for sure. He could have been spying for someone, maybe, or could just be a well wishing citizen sick of what was happening in his country. But why did Smith give this to him? What kind of files could be in his possession on Sharma Brothers? Why was the story not published? Had some political high ups organized this, He would definitely have splashed it all across the globe. Could this be part of the battle going on between Mbeki and Zuma? The flash drive contained mostly photographs and two video clips shot with shaking hands by the mysterious photographer. The shaking of hands could not have been due to the fact that he or she was doing it at the risk of his or her life, or it was being shot secretly. It must have been fear, which even Srikanth could feel when he watched them. One of the videos showed a man tied and blindfolded, kneeling on the floor in a room with people around him. The language spoken was Zulu, which Srikanth did not understand. The visuals told the story though. Amongst the people surrounding the prisoners were Vijay and his brothers. The other three Srikanth could not identify. Of course, there was one more for sure, hidden behind the camera. It looked like the blindfolded man had done something really bad. The video was not continuous, and apparently the photographer was switching the camera off and on in between the shot. The final sequence showed an unidentified person pulling out a pistol and shooting the prisoner in the head. There the video ended. The second clip was more devastating. This was almost similar to the first one, except for the fact that it was a woman instead of a man who was bound and blindfolded. This time, however, when one of the men pulled out his pistol to shoot, Vijay's brother stepped forward and snatched the pistol from the man's hand, aimed it at the woman's head, and shot her thrice in the head. He then threw away the pistol and ordered the men to clear the body. Srikanth sat stunned for a long time. He could not believe that his friend and his brother could kill to grow their empire in South Africa. He did not like the bribing and power broking, but killing people in cold blood was something that shattered him. Srikanth's paranoia had now grown to such an extent that he would have done anything. He desperately wanted to talk to Smith to find out the other truths about the video and pictures. He tried calling on his number, but there was no response. He researched the media company where Smith was employed, but they told him that they had no such correspondent on their rolls. Who was Mr. Smith? Why did he come to Srikanth? And who had sent him? Was he somehow involved in all this? Was he the person who shot the film? His brain was bursting with a million questions coupled with 1,000 fears. He had to find out. He had to talk to somebody. Somebody had to help him. He had to find a way to escape from this god-forsaken company and country. Srikanth could not unravel the mystery, but Wilfred had helped him to escape safely to India. Srikanth left everything behind in South Africa, but he could never bring himself to part with the flash drive. He stashed it away safely behind the covers of his diary, till I discovered it after I had read the diaries left by him before his disappearance. Also hidden between the covers of the diary was a letter from Wilfred. There was no mention of Wilfred's letter in the diaries, but there it was, and with it the answers that we all were so desperately trying to seek. End of chapter 7. Keep listening.